Well, it's Tuesday, December 9th in 2014. So anyway, have a drink. The markets are doing better, man. It's a celebration. What can I tell you? The markets are doing better as far as we are concerned. Let me put it to you that way. The Dow has been going down 218 points. The S&P down 25 points. The Nasdaq down 58 points. Blah, 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 blah. Europe, hey, man, we basically, it's a whole turnaround. This is the thing we've been talking about, but this is just the beginning. Now, it could be a false alarm bells going off right now, but Europe also closed down sharply. The Britain's FTSE closed down almost 2%. France's CAC closed down 2.3%. Germany's DAX closed down 2%. And Spain's IBEX closed down 3%. And also, the Asian markets got wrecked, man, with the Shanghai Composite, which crashed by over 5%. So, anyway, the hidden hands are at work here, right? It's what we've been talking about. I guess, bubbles, well, it's too early to say that it's a real market crash just yet. 2%, 3%, 5%. But at the same time, what's going on with silver and gold and all this other stuff, it's going up, right? So silver took a 4.3% jump up. It's actually over 17. I know people were waiting for $10. Wait for $10. I don't know if it's going to $10. Now it's not looking like it's going to $10. But then again, something else can happen, right? You don't know. So the markets aren't off as much as they were this morning. Oil's taking a little bit of a bounce. And I also said that I think oil is going to be something to ponder, because oil is going to be something that's not going to be able to held down, because I think we're going into record cold winters. I put a video out this before. We broke a whole bunch of 1800s records from the 1800s, like 140-year-old records. We already had, I know the temperature's going one way or the other, but it actually seems like the North Polar weather is hitting the populated areas, and that's going to put a lot of demand on oil. Now, also, like I said, the Shanghai Composite really crashed 5.4%. So that's something really to ponder. In the meantime, the metals have been surging ahead. So maybe the pendulum has been swinging, right? Now, this is Goldie the cat. You remember Goldie? He's chilling out, man. He's pretty much a calm little guy right now. This is cat food back here. He likes laying on the rug by the window, so just watching the outside. So while nothing's freezing on the inside. But let me tell you that the situation, it looks like the pendulum has been swinging a little bit. Now, oil did drop down to a record 5-year low, but like I said, I don't think that's going to be going on too long. And actually, like, it's going to be, hey kid, you want to buy some wild silver? Yeah. You want to buy some wild silver? That's really what's going to be coming up here in the future, because it's going to be the only thing that's going to save you now from, until it goes up too high and crashes again. But silver's it's going to be this long, complicated ride, and you know what happens near the end? It gets scary. It gets scary, man, because it gets too high, it gets too hard ahead of itself, and it's almost like if, no matter how you look at it, you're going to be jinxed. It's going to be like your path is being crossed by a million black cats. That's the only way I could put it, because if you think you can get the exact bottom and exact top of silver, you're going to be a gazillionaire, no problem, easily, but nobody does. It's like, as long as you make some money, that's really what counts, right? As long as you make some money, right? But in the meantime, don't sell nothing, just sit on it, don't do anything, because it's got a long ways up, and it's going to have, not only does it have, we're having a long, complicated bottom on silver, we might have an erratic, short, crazy head-spinning spikes on silver on the way up. And, as I walk through the valley of the marijuana field, I fear no evil, for I am the highest motherfucker in the valley, really, you really don't know. A lot of people see silver holders as pretty much high on some kind of extracurricular thing here, but in reality, the reality is coming up. The ones that are really high are the ones that have been investing in equities now and holding on. The smartest people have been dumping equities. And I know us white people are pretty crazy. I know that, lady. But, what can I tell you, man? What can I tell you, man? It's like, hey, man, white people is crazy. We is crazy. So what the hell can I tell you, man? Anyway, why is we crazy? Because a lot of white people do this, man. But not this kid. But anyway, I just want to tell you that the markets are changing, And general equities is almost like you're running into a field of black cats fall crossing your path. And we're seeing this across the board. I did mention before that actually the general equities have been pumped up by the Federal Reserve, and it's going to be very complicated how the Fed is going to actually unwind its balance sheet. How are they going to do that? It's going to be almost impossible, right? How are they going to do that? Impossible, right? So anyway, what I have to say about that is that, it's like they created a bubble in the market. And now it's going to be, what's your safety? Your safety is going to be silver. It's going to be silver. The bottom probably is over now. But the really scary part is when you go to sell it, because everybody in the world is going to be telling you, I mean, not now, but say, for instance, it goes up past 50 and it gets into uncharted territory. That's when people are going to tell you it's going to go to $500, it's going to go to $200, it's going to go to $2,000, $1,000. And, I think the biggest danger is when it gets past 50, it might be 60, 70, 75, might be it. But then again, it could spike up a little higher than that or a lot higher than that very, very briefly. And it's going to be scary to sell it because you're going to be scared of the U.S. dollar. You'll be thinking, oh, it's going to nothing. But it's not going to nothing. It's not going to nothing. The dollar is always going to be the currency of the United States of America as long as the United States of America still exists. And if the United States of America doesn't exist, you're probably going to have to worry about a lot more things other than silver. So that's the reality of the situation. So the hidden hands are at work. The hidden hands are at work. So as we see, the markets are correcting, not just in the United States. Now, it's not a major correction. There was more of a spike downward in the morning, but it's across the world. And what's interesting that this time it's occurring, the markets are correcting, and you're seeing the metals take off when people before were saying they're going down even more. So it throws everybody for a loop. It always throws people for a loop all the time. I think that there's going to be a major financial crash in 2015. I know Nouriel Roubini, if you heard of him, he's the guy that's associated with New York University. I think he's also associated with Hartz Mountain or something. Or the Leonard Stern, that's what it was, the Leonard Stern School of Business. He's actually associated with them. He says that 2016 is going to be a major market correction, he thinks. But, when he drops hints on stuff, it may be earlier than that. Usually when they're telling you something like that, they're not telling you the exact date. It's probably going to be beforehand. And, if you're not out of the markets now, I mean, a lot of people are probably like thinking, oh, they went down a little bit, I should just hold on. Well, you probably should be out of the damn things. Really, you should be out of it. It's a lost cause to be hanging on to the equities unless you're holding on to the mining equities. And, the mining or the oil equities, because even though they got slaughtered at this prices, you might be thinking they're a good buy. So if you got stuck, you might be at the low dip. You don't want to be selling out at the low dip, just like you don't want to be selling out at, silver at the bottom. And I'd like to tell you, even though it's pretty nerve-wracking what's going on now, when it's extra high, silver is going to be kind of scary to sell. It's going to be scary to sell because you're going to be thinking, is it too high? Is it too low? Is it, nobody's going to get it exactly right. If you get it exactly right, you got lucky. That's exactly what it is. You got lucky, or you're some inside person, and an inside person is never going to announce exactly what the exact height is. There's been people that made a lot of money on copper. There's been a lot of people made a lot of money on beef. And, one of the things you actually should look at is what you're an expert in. That's one thing Jim Rogers said, that, people are experts in different areas. You might understand, silver, you might understand agriculture, you might understand, you know, how communications works. You might understand even artwork or diamonds. But if you're an expert in that area, that puts you ahead of the Wall Streeters. You know, if you're an expert in construction and you're not an expert in tax work, well, that puts you ahead of the tax work people, you know. So that's exactly how that works. And a lot of people on the internet that have been following silver for many years, they are pretty much experts on silver, more so than the people that are in Wall Street. And I can kind of leave you as something there as to give you a little more confidence, because if you've been following silver videos and silver blogs and silver information about what the production costs are, how much silver is out there, how many investment dollars are out there, you do realize that if investment dollars start to pour into an asset that's that tiny, it can really super spike a lot higher than it should. And that's going to be the scary part, because you're probably never going to hit the exact top unless you're very lucky. Just like you'll never buy at the exact bottom unless you're very lucky. But the whole point is you'll still make some money. You'll still make some money. So pretty soon it's going to be, silver's going to be a rarity. And it's going to be like, hey, kid, you want to buy some WOW or you want to buy some silver? It's not going to be that much of it to go around. And a lot of these funds probably don't contain the amount of silver in the fund that they say they do. They don't. I don't think they do. I think it only exists on paper. And paper is going to be the black cat jinx that people are going to fall into a trap with. So anyway, just want to give you a quick update here, because the markets have, it's not just that silver went up today and some of the precious metals and some of the commodities, and that the Dow and the NASDAQ and the S&P went down somewhat. It's that all the equities throughout the world have went down, all of them, while the commodities are going up. That's a very interesting sign. It may be a temporary thing, but you know, something else I've been pointing out too is like when the reporting, financial reporting, comes through on oil, on the oil industry, which you're going to see the fourth quarter of 2014 get reported in January 2015, you're going to see them be down on profits, and that's going to cause stocks to sell off or stocks to go lower, because people will not want to invest in an item that isn't making as much money. And the reason it's not making much money is because the price of oil went down a lot, and the oil sector and the energy sector is 25% of the S&P. So that can bring the whole rest of the market down too. That could be the beginning where the market goes down. But usually when the market goes down, it has a very, very high correction rate. So yeah, I know white people is crazy, man. We is crazy, man. But hey, man, chill out. Enjoy the beat, man. Enjoy the beat and walking on the beat, whatever the hell you're doing, man. So anyway, as we walk through the valley of the marijuana silver field, fear no evil, for we are the highest silver crazy people in the valley, because we've been crazy to hold this stuff this long for this many years in a downward trend. And, that's really what you got to be doing with commodities. It's they're high risk, potential high reward, and you got to have a lot of patience. So I'm not advocating to get high and stuff, but I mean, it's just as we're pretty much high for freaking holding silver and seeing it go down for the last few years, So anyway, Goldie the Cat says hi. He says good luck, and he's probably a good omen because he's a gold cat. Gold cats bring you good luck, right? And just hang on, and we're seeing some signs of what we wanted to be seeing for quite some time now. We see actually oil going up a little bit to 83 cents. I mean, it's down in the low 60s, hit a 5-year low. But it's not going to go up that much in December, even if it's extra cold out. Well, like I said, that's going to show very low profitability for the energy sector, and that's going to be reflected in the the financials that are coming out in January for the end of the year. And you know what that means? There's going to be a sell-off in the energy sector. You see the markets go down at 25% of the S&P. which can cause more of it, more of it to go down. And like I said, the S&P and the Dow and everything has been pumped up by Federal Reserve spending. And I don't know how the Federal Reserve is going to unwind their balance sheet. It's going to be like, I don't know how they're going to do that. They've created a bubble in the equities it went up about, I guess now it probably went up about 160% instead of 156% since the bottom. Whereas the, what do you call it, the inflation and GDP combined has only went up 22%. So almost, throughout the history, the markets have been within a couple percent of the inflation plus GDP combined. And now they're many times over that. In other words, you're talking about about 7 times almost, about 6 times, 7 times. I'd say 7 times. 22% versus 160%, so about 7 times higher than, or 8 times, whatever the hell it is. It depends, like 7.5. It's higher than it should be. Higher than it should be. So, the Dow should actually be around 8,000 by traditional methods of measurement, being within a couple percent of the GDP growth and inflation growth. So when we're seeing Dow at 17.8, we might see a more than 50% correction in the Dow. That's a possibility. When it happens, it's going to happen all at once. And then where's the money going to go? To dollars? The dollar gets strong, then where does it go from there? Could be going into gold. So anyway, that's food for thought, and it's going to create crazy spikes in the metals too, and it's going to be scary to sell. So anyway, just want to keep you updated. There's been a major correction, not just in the equities in the USA today, not a major, but somewhat of a pretty hard correction, but across the whole board, and also in the Asian markets, especially Greek markets, German markets, French markets, the UK markets, and they got some major political problems coming up. So, how are they gonna resolve this? Japan's already gone through Super QE, so I don't know how to resolve it. It's going to be, they have nothing else they can resolve. And on top of this, the USA has already passed $18 trillion in debt. So, I don't know. It's kind of going back to old school again. That's all I got to tell you. It's going back to old school. So, old Goldie the Cat says, good luck. Hang on to that gold and silver.